Hello and welcome back to the Green Generation podcast. I am Shruti Seetharaman, your host for today, and I am joined by Mr. Prem Bharat today, who is a seasoned leader in the global technology investment space, also known for his expertise in cross-border innovation. He is the founder and managing partner of Pontac, a UK-India focused venture capital fund that has been active since 2015. Pontac was the first dedicated UK India fund, a milestone acknowledged by former UK Prime Minister Theresa May. He's also an entrepreneur at heart, and Prem has built Pontac from the ground up and often refers to venture capital as his product, reflecting his deep commitment to fostering innovation. His vision for Pontac is rooted in advancing society through technology, guided by the principles of progression, preservation, and inclusivity. Over the past 10 years, Prem's leadership has made or helped Pontac make more than 150 investments. So today we're talking about business, investment, sustainability, all of that. Pontac also covers 23 Indian states and 2 regions in the UK. Notably, 30% of the portfolio companies are led by women, which is again something that's so important to note. And I can keep going with the introduction, but I'm also going to tell you that Prem is an active contributor to public sector innovation initiatives. He also serves on the National Startup Selection Committee, appointed by the Government of India, and is a member of the FICCI UK board. He has also advised the UK government as part of the UK India Technology Transfer Group. He has been recognized amongst the UK 40 under 40 and listed among the top 100 Asians in tech in the UK and a finalist in IOD Director Awards, underscoring his ongoing role in shaping the UK-India tech investment corridor. So I think you know already how privileged we are to have him here today to join us in this podcast. And I'm going to shoot right into the questions in terms of the big picture, right? So when we say new generation startup, what makes it different from the old school way of doing business?
Well, thanks, Shruti. Thanks for having me. Startup is not a new coinage. It has been there for centuries. As you did articulate in the introduction, we think of startups as an evolutionary thing, as and when civilization moves to the next best version of itself. But then for that to happen, there are 3 core principles which govern civilizational transformation, which is what we call progression. Now, when I say progression, we originally had a barter system of trade, which over a period of time changed into currency or coins, and then eventually debit cards, and now UPI. Tomorrow, God knows what's going to be. So in each of these technology transitions, or each of these transitions of the system of trade, the underlying trade thrived, but we were actually transforming to the next best version through the technology of that era, which was coins then, and then currency. But then you have to find the next way because you're going to improve upon yourself. So that is on the progression side of things. Then you have the preservation. Right? When I say preservation, very classic example is plastics then was a problem solver. Today it's a problem creator, right? And if I were to get another extraordinary situation, we wanted to reduce the time frame of travel. So what did we do? We built bridges. So then bridges were the problem. Today we have to preserve the bridges, else the bridges have a problem of kind of falling off like a pack of cards, and you really have to solve it. And the third is what I call the inclusivity element of it. Now, inclusivity is bifurcated into both the financial inclusivity and the fitness inclusivity. So financial, obviously, the bottom of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid, and if people don't marry with each other in terms of the magnitude, then there's an ecological imbalance. And then by fitness divide, you're talking about people who are either born with or acquired through life in terms of fitness issues, and which needs to be sorted out for an economical to sort out the economical imbalance. So when we say startup in my view is all about identifying problems in each of these 3 areas in different segments when I say startup, startup is all about identifying opportunities in each of these three core pillars. And the mechanism in which they try to address it is through technological and societal improvements at that point in time. So it's,
I mean, it's all addressing all of the sustainable goals that we've spoken about, right, in the podcast as well. But that's why it's so important to talk about all of the startups addressing the societal or the requirements to preserve. And it's very interesting that you say all of the innovations have now also become the problems to preserve.
Yes.
But in terms of global trends today, like AI, Web3, or sustainability, what is really shaping up to be part of startups?
I think, as you can see, I mean, all the key things that you mentioned, which is AI, Web 3.0, or sustainability, are parts of the new age mantra of what we are trying to address. And if you think about AI, I mean, previously we were talking about AI in terms of efficacy and efficiency improvements. But then that comes with, when you have something autonomous, how do you control autonomy? I mean, who sets the governance of it? But then as you further advance into AGI, which is the artificial generative intelligence, it's much more scarier than what it is today, right? So if I go back to the three principles of what I said, progression is AI because you're improving the efficiency, but then you have preservation because if more AI, a sizable amount of people are going to be left with no jobs, or less number of jobs, or less number of working hours, which yields to a preservation in terms of mental well-being. So that's an opportunity. And then you also, with the same AI, you also have financial inclusivity coming in, because people are going to be left out of jobs, which means more people are going to go into the poverty ladder, and more people are going to be on the topmost in terms of the much rich ladder. So how do you bridge both? So this one single thing of AI gives you all the three. So which one are you going to address? It's a factor of time that look at. The same is the case with Web 3.0. The same is the case with sustainability, right? I mean, today, if I talk about sustainability again, okay, fine, we're moving to EV, great, no problem. But who's going to dispose of the batteries?
Right.
So you're moving from. So we human beings have a phenomenal way of solving one problem today and creating five for the future.
Absolutely, and I think that's precisely what we hope to want to create in terms of awareness or education with this podcast, and with all of the people who are joining us in this podcast, to try and understand how one solution can then cause further problems and how we should be addressing it, which is great to understand. But startups today often chase growth but also need profit, right? How do they balance the two with this constantly evolving and ever-changing trends, or new solutions then become problems eventually? So how are they able to chase both of these?
I think profit or growth, I think that's a very flamboyant term. I mean, I think everything starts from home.
Right.
When mom buys groceries at the beginning of the month, she doesn't kind of cook everything. Just because when we were kids, we asked for everything, right? She preserves it. So the preservation of today is profit of tomorrow.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, she's actually kind of building that view of preserving, or just saving, which actually becomes growth.
Right.
Okay, so it starts from home, right? It's nothing new, right? So I think the reason why the whole element of profit versus growth came about was in terms when there was a huge influx of funding coming in. It's like you have a huge influx of let's say, for example, I have a farm, and I all of a sudden, instead of having 100 tons, I had a production of 1,000 tons. What do I do? Right? I probably would have to, I can't consume all of that 100 tons myself. So I have to kind of invite my friends and family over to have a feast. Great, fair enough. But what happens? Then that becomes a continuous element of, okay, fine. Oh, by the way, Prem called us last Diwali. He's going to call us this year as well. But then, you know what? Next year, I'm still having only 100 tons. So expectation mismatch. Same is the case. We had a huge influx of funding. And that funding led to a lot of frothiness in the market, because I have to consume that extra kgs of rice, which is extra kgs of cash, or extra volume of cash. So I had to find avenues to deploy. And when I have to find the avenues to deploy, I don't, because then what happens? I have to create in a very innovative mechanism to beef up the price point. And then eventually that led to a lot of downward trend. So it happens in private markets, it happens in public markets. So the only sustainable view is growth, because even if you talk about the public markets, a lot of FC 500 companies have lost over a period of time because they focused more on profits than on growth. Sustainable growth is very important.
Yeah.
Customer satisfaction is very important. So one fuels the other.
No, I really like the statement that you made in terms of the preservation today is the profit for tomorrow. And I think that's such an important concept, if I could call it, to try and remember with all of the actions, all of the startups, all of the innovations, all of the investments that we're working towards today, to try and understand why it's so important to hold on to it, to protect it for the profit for tomorrow. So I think that's a great little tip almost that you're sort of giving our viewers. But I also want to ask, why are models like subscriptions, marketplaces, SaaS, for example, are so popular with new startups today?
I think again it's a transition element, right? I mean, so subscription models, put it that way. It depends upon where the subscription model is. Okay, so when we started initially investing in companies, we actually invested in a subscription model company in men's grooming. Right. So within 2 years, we had a 2.5x exit, right? But naivety strikes, and I didn't take it. Eventually, the company went south because we human beings have a very impulsive behavior to get attracted to the next best thing without knowing the after effects of what it is, right? So, so subscription models on the FMCG sector may not necessarily work. I mean, how many of us actually know that you actually have a subscription model on Amazon? Right? I mean, I do subscribe to some of my household items, and I often forget about it. I end up actually putting it back onto my basket. So subscription model is more from convenience and more impulsive than actually in terms of whether you really, it's more a want than a need, put it that way, right? So that's subscription. But at the same time, if you actually go into the business side of things, if I'm a CFO and if I have to plan my cash flow, then I would rather go for a subscription-based or OPEX-based model than a CAPEX-intensive model, right? So it's basically, who are you at the end of the day? Prem, as a home bay, may not choose subscription, but Prem as a CFO, for his company, probably would.
Very interesting. So are investors looking beyond just revenue and growth when they decide where to put their money, or is it that's what they're looking?
Revenue and growth come next, right? The most important thing is the founder or the founders and what they stand for, and what is the motivation behind why they have started, what they have started, what's driving them, what's the fire in the belly. That's the most important thing. I can go and give enormous amount of examples as to why we back founders. Revenue and growth, because once you have the people with the right attitude, with the right motive, I mean, it's only shaping them up together.
Right. I recently came across an article, or rather an Instagram video, which I think I mentioned in my previous podcast, where one of the leading Indian founders somewhere mentioned, when you work with startups or you invest in a company, and I don't think I agree, but I want to know your view, is that you should invest or be a part of a company where people are not as passionate, where they do think about money. But as you just answered, the question is, investors are also looking beyond just profit and revenue. But what's your opinion in terms of how does passion versus money play a role in terms of when you want to invest it, not just as a venture capitalist, but also as someone who's looking at a business?
See, there is a happy path scenario and there's a dead scenario, right? Passion making money is the happy path scenario. Passion, when there is complete near death, that can only be driven through passion, right? So that's only, that can only be driven through the right individual. So it's not about how things are when everything is going right. It's about what you stand for when everything has gone south.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, that's why a founder is very important, right? There have been many instances in our own portfolio companies where the founders actually openly admitted that the group of founders have fallen apart. Right? So it was literally about 3-4 weeks ago. One of the founders called me panic-stricken, saying, "You know what? We are a team of 3 or 4 people, and we need your intervention because I'm doing things a certain way, he's doing things a certain way, and I think there's some big degree of mismatch." So for them to come out openly and then admit that things are not going right and hence they need to fix it to put the business forward, that's the kind of founders you will back. And the reason why is because, just like, let's say for example, you and I found a startup or found a company, there are 3 entities in that, which is you, which is me, and the most important thing is the company.
Right.
Because the company lives beyond you and me. The company is to be treated, or the startup is to be treated as yet another living entity.
Absolutely.
Okay, the only thing it can breathe in and breathe out is basically cash in and cash out, and customer in, customer out, right?
Yeah.
So that's most important. So for people who are able to admit their mistakes and are willing to adapt and adopt, those are the kind of people you want to back.
I mean, again, I think this is a great tip for viewers. Any of you that are entrepreneurs or planning to be an entrepreneur, or are a venture capitalist, or are interested in companies for investment in any way or form, I think these are such important tips to sort of pay attention to. And I think for me, as someone who is now running a media production company, it's also a great tip to hold on to. And I think it's always important that your integrity, where you stand at, the fact that they always say, right, at least that's what I've heard from my parents, is that the first step to finding a solution to a problem is admitting that you have the problem. So the more you are to run away from the problem because you want to mask it, whether it's to investors, venture capitalists, or anyone else involved, the more you address it, the more likely you're able to solve it. And that's what I've understood from general life lessons that I've heard from my parents. But you've also reiterated that, which is great to know.